My name's Kay, Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt, all here. And you got that Angry Runs Interceptor World Tour t-shirt on, KB.
We got a big day, Angry Runs today, toe drag swag today, all kinds of playoff talk. Who gets the scepter? Watch the show.
I'm getting all sorts of bribes, literal bribes from Indianapolis Colts fans on Twitter saying you have to get him to give Jonathan Taylor the scepter. What say you?
Which kind of bribes did you get from Raiders fans to wear that shirt today after they were eliminated from the playoffs?
I just like it. It's one of my favorites.
No,
it's not. I do have a great Dolphins bomber jacket that I am going to be busting out, even though they did not
They're
show
also
up
out.
in Week 17. That's okay. We love them anyway. It's time for the lead block.
Lead block.
All right, here's how this is going to go. We're going to start in Washington, where Ron Rivera and his football team clinched the NFC East and a playoff berth after Sunday's win against the Eagles. Now, some of the late game decision-making in Philly was controversial, to say the least. Coach Rivera said yesterday he doesn't care how they got the win.
You play who's out there. I'm not going to apologize for winning. Apparently, that's what everybody wants me to do, is apologize for winning. I'm not going to, because you play the game as it's set up, okay? Nobody complained when Pittsburgh did what they did last night against Cleveland. I mean, come on, this is just the way it is, okay? We got in the playoffs. We're 7-9, okay? I've been 7-8-1 in the playoffs. I was on an 8-8 team that was in the playoffs. And you don't apologize for getting into the playoffs. Nobody cared 2 weeks ago when we didn't have some of our best players. Nobody cared last week when we didn't have them. So why should we be concerned if a coach decides to do something he thinks is best for his team?
I don't often see the side of Coach Rivera. I kind of like it. I happen to feel that the best team in the NFC East got into the thing and won the division. How do you feel about Coach Rivera's comments yesterday?
Yeah, you can argue. There's a vote for every team in the NFC East. You know, there's fans that are outraged right now, and there's fans that love seeing the Washington football team in the playoffs. You know, I feel where he's coming from, though. If I'm Ron Rivera, I'm sitting back thinking about this year, everything that they've been through. Himself, personally, fighting cancer, everybody cheering for him. Oh, man, Ron Rivera strong. Let's rock the T-shirts. We support you. Hope you power through this.
Yep.
The great story about Alex Smith. Man, Alex Smith, comeback story of the year. You see his wife crying in the stands with the family. Oh, that's awesome. How does the narrative change from wanting to see the best for this team to now being able to complain about them getting into the playoffs? I don't get that. Like, if you're a fan of football and you're a fan of Ron Rivera, you're a fan of these comeback stories that we love in Alex Smith, then why not just appreciate the fact that a team that fought hard, never gave up, dealt with all the circumstances that we all dealt with, COVID-19, the protocols, the injuries, and they're in the playoffs at 7-9. Okay, let's just enjoy it for what it is. I feel Ron, and I love the fact that he's passionate. Usually he's sitting back casual with a smile on his face. I like seeing this passionate Ron, and you know what? I hope the team identifies with this, because if they want to shock the world, they're going to have to embody this exact type of outrage and anger.
Ron's right. He's on fire. And when I listen to him talk like that, I start thinking about upsets again over Tampa Bay this weekend.
What's itching? Your ring finger?
A little bit. The upset finger's itching a little bit. But we've had 24 hours thinking about Doug Peterson, and I'm kind of just doubling back on it. And everyone has done their pearl clutching, and it's been an affront to society and how we're supposed to raise our children. I'm not even sure Doug did it for the draft pick. This thing with putting Nate Sudfeld in had this sort of high school coach empty the bench, play the seniors, put Rudy in feel. But just 24 hours out, in the wake of Ron's comments, I just want to say, if Doug Peterson did it for the better draft pick, fine. He just can't come out and say it. If he could, he'd come out and say, yeah, I wanted a better draft pick. I want to be back in the playoffs next year. I'm sorry, we could have won in front of no fans and finished 5-10-1 and la-di-da, or we got to get a better draft pick. And I think that it's okay. Tanking is unsavory. It's hard to swallow. It doesn't hit the palate, but it works. And I will say this. It's the most scrutinized number 6 draft pick of all time in this draft. Right. Never mind Lawrence, 100%. Never mind Fields. That number 6 pick better be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Doug, or you're never going to forget that one. But at this point, maybe you did it to better his team, and at that point, fine. I'm okay with the 24 hours later. I'm not going to get on the soapbox again.
I saw Rivera's comments around 3 o'clock yesterday. I was fired up, and he's right. He's absolutely right. The Washington football team belongs to be in the playoffs. They don't have to apologize to anybody. And they were without Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson in the final weeks of the season, and they still found a way to make it in. But as much as he could be right, the other side could be right, too. How that season ended, disgusting. Still disgusting. Still have a terrible taste in my mouth with how the 256th game ended. And I know I'm not alone. Here was Joe Judge last night.
We had a lot of people opt in to this season. Okay? We had a lot of people opt in. all right, coaches, players. That includes family members as well. All right, so to look at a group of grown men who I ask to give me effort on a day in, day out basis and to empty the tank, and then I can look them in the eye and assure them that I'm always going to do everything I can to put them at a competitive advantage and play them in a position of strength. To me, you don't ever want to disrespect those players and their effort and disrespect the game. The sacrifices that they made to come into work every day and test before coming in, to sit in meetings spaced out, to wear masks, to have shields over those masks, to go through extensive protocols, to travel in unconventional ways, to get text messages at 6:30 in the morning telling them practice is going to be canceled. We have to do a virtual day. Okay, to tell them, please don't have your family over for Thanksgiving. Please avoid Christmas gatherings. We know it's your wife's birthday. Let's make sure we put that one off to the off season. There's a number of sacrifices been made by all the players and coaches in this league. There's a number of sacrifices that come along as well with the family members of the people connected to them. To disrespect the effort that everyone put forward to make this season a success for the National Football League, to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes and doing everything you can to help those players win, we will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants.
Thoughts?
What are your thoughts? You brought
What are
it
your
up.
thoughts?
I know you're passionate about it.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I said it without even knowing he was. That's just how I feel. I care about this right here. So Ron is not there, and the Giants have no right to be in the playoffs either. It's about the Eagles. How the Eagles finished the season is unacceptable for any of us who are affiliated with this thing right here, and that's the Shield. All right, I honestly feel that way. That was a shame. We all give up a lot to sacrifice this season, and he's right. The teams, the players, the families, even ourselves, we've been in and out of studio and doing all this thing. We love this game. You want to say that all your devotion to the game would finish with a fair fight at the end. And you know what? If you want to say, well, the Steelers didn't start there, guys, that's all fine. That's okay. That's your take. My take is I would have loved to have seen the Eagles try to win at the end of that game.
I think Doug Peterson has an obligation to do what's best for the Eagles in his mind. And I respect Joe Judge. Maybe when he wins the Super Bowl, he can tell Doug Peterson how to run his team. You know, because Doug Peterson has a statue outside. He did what's best for the Eagles.
That's real talk. And not to mention, the Giants are a rival of the Eagles. Listen, I have the utmost respect for Joe Judge. I really do. I love the way he runs his ship. I even love his son, coaching him in freshman football at Don Bosco High School. I think he's doing it the right way. So I don't want to come off as dismissive to his comments because he's preaching to the choir. You're talking to a guy who spent half of the years in his career knowing he wasn't going to make the playoffs, but approached week 17 like it was my damn Super Bowl. So I get that 100%. But if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm sitting back saying there's a chance for us to get a pick. If he did indeed do it for the pick and gets us expect,
3 picks up,
what does he owe the Giants? Absolutely nothing. They land this pick. They have a better season. They win the NFC East next year. Who's complaining about this game? And the last thing I'll say, and Joe Judge, I love you. I just spent time with Golden Tate recently. That's my dog. I got friends on the Giants team. You guys win a couple of more games, you wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
So as much as I can sit there and say, oh, I feel bad for him. Now, I know you're saying, well, Nate, you're up on TV, man, wearing the cool clothes, talking football. I was in that same position.
I don't think he's saying it for the Giants side. I'm not saying
I know
the Giants should be. He's saying
Eagles. And how you play the game.
Not the Eagles. All of us. The whole league. Like, everyone is 256 games. If you told us in August we would have done it, that would have been an incredible miracle that we pulled this off. It just stunk that that's how it ended, and everyone waiting and saying, wait a second, second half of the final game of the season, the Eagles aren't looking